Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the Sports Commission meeting for September 2020 to order. Of course, would like to acknowledge that we are conducting our business on the traditional territory of Comox First Nation. Just opening chair remark, I guess we just for the, Trustee Waite just is joining us. Thank you for stepping in as alternate. And just quick chair remarks since the last meeting, actually just today we had a meeting with the ministry with Chair Kettler and Vice Chair Swift. And we described the challenges on behalf of the commission that we're facing, both in terms of the regulations and funding challenges, and also looking ahead to what does it mean for capital plans and infrastructure upgrades. So it was a good meeting. With that, we do have a delegation today. So I would like to pass it over to staff maybe to introduce our delegation.
Thank you very much, Chair and Directors. And our delegation is the Ringette Association, and there are various members here in their jerseys or otherwise. So I think we can tell who they are. My understanding is it was to include Erin Arthur, Megan Roberge, and Helen Oliphant. And if you'd like to come,
thank you.
Like to come to the podium.
Yeah, thank you. And you have 10 minutes, and then it's at the discussion of the board how long we talk about the topic.
Wonderful, thank you. My name is Helen Oliphant. I am here to represent the Comox Valley Ringette Association. I have with myself Erin Arthur and Haley Hill, and they are here to help me answer questions. Erin's going to speak towards the end as well. We've prepared a presentation for your enjoyment. To the right.
It doesn't work, I can do it.
Yeah, we can do it from here. Yeah.
Thank you. We also have a land acknowledgement that we would like to acknowledge the Comox Valley Ringette Association. We learn, live, and play ringette on the traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. Next, please, which is our names, which I've already said. A little bit about ringette. It's not well known around the Comox Valley and on the west coast of Canada, but it is a Canadian sport developed in the 1960s. And in fact, we learned last year during a fundraiser is in the Comox Valley lives a woman who was on one of the very first ringette teams that ever played in North Bay, Ontario. So it was neat for our players to meet her, and she still loves her experience from ringette. It was originally designed as a sport for girls because they didn't have a team winter sport to play. In those days, girls were not allowed to play hockey. And so this fellow, Sam Jacks, made a sport so that girls could have a team sport on the ice. Ringette is a game of speed and teamwork. It's not, there's no body contact, there's no brute force. It's about plays and strategy, using your brain and your speed to get the ring into the net. In the Comox Valley about 10 years ago, Haley Hill was one of the two pioneers of Comox Valley Ringette. To start an association. We are the only association on the island which limits our league play. We typically get 2 weekends of ringette a year. We have to travel to the Lower Mainland to get tournaments. So it makes it, a little bit difficult to really grow our sport and grow our association as we are limited in such a way. Our first year we had 2 teams on the ice. One was a youth team and the other team was our adult masters team. Since then, we have worked hard to grow our association. And this past season, we had 4 youth teams, with our youngest player being 6, our oldest player being 18. And then of course, our masters team is still playing. So we grew from 2 to 5 in 10 years. In those 10 years, we've been able to send teams to the BC Winter Games. We've been able to send our U14 team, actually just this past season, earned a spot at provincials, the first team from the island who's ever gone to a provincial championship. We went, we didn't get to play because they canceled the tournament because of COVID, which is an entire another story, but we made it, and it was a great time had by all. We are here on the next slide. Oh, sorry. I have some photos of our ragtag group. The first photo is of our first youth team. And if you can actually tell, the youngest one in that association, in that picture, is 8. And the oldest on the same team is 16. And they played together. And BC Ringette actually wouldn't let that happen today, to have such an age range of players. So we're glad that we've grown. Next picture, please. This was our entire association at one tournament. We took all 5 teams to Richmond last January to play in a tournament. 3 of our teams got to the semifinals, and our Masters team won the gold medal for, I don't know, the 4th or 5th time. We participate in parades in our community when we can. We entertain people by playing street ringette and trying not to lose the rings down the drains in the middle. The next is the last group that we sent to the BC Winter Games in Kamloops. These are all kids from the Comox Valley who are part of our school system who go to represent our wonderful community. And I think the last photo is our Masters team. Oh, no. Getting ahead of myself. We have had some great success with our teams. And I will attribute a lot of it to our coaches, our volunteer coaches. And I actually sat down and did the math the other day. And between our 8 coaches that we have in our association right now for our 4 teams, we have over 150 years of ringette experience, including 3 coaches who have played at the World Ringette Championships. So these kids have such an amazing group working with them to help them build their skills and become awesome ringette players. And one last photo is our Masters team winning that tournament in Richmond last season. So one of the reason we're here today is that we are a little bit frustrated with the ice allocation that has been happening. In our first year, 10 years ago, we were allotted an hour and a half of ice time. And we retain that hour and a half still to this day, but we have never received any more ice on a regular basis. Some years, when other user groups realize that they don't need all of the ice they've been allocated, they have sometimes sort of sublet us. For instance, a couple of years ago, minor hockey said, we don't need the ice at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, so we'll let you use it for this year, but at the end of the year, it has to get back, and it's not guaranteed the next year. So it's kind of hard to run and grow our association on such a limited amount of ice, and it's actually not safe to have 40 kids on one piece of ice in an hour and a half. It's not safe for anybody to have my 16-year-olds skating with the 5-year-olds. And this particular year, we are stuck with, like my daughter who plays, she's playing U16 level, and she'll get 45 minutes every week. That's all she'll get on the ice. No time for scrimmages, and just 45 minutes, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And she gets out of school at 3:20. I don't know, we're still with the new school year in the schedule, but it's kind of difficult to get high school kids to the arena for that time, and that's our allotted time. We're worried that without an increase in our ice allocation, that we will lose potential players, and we will lose existing players because they're like, why would I sign up when I'm only getting 45 minutes on the ice? And, insurance and the money for skates, I mean, the gear is not cheap and kids still grow. So that's a bit of a worry for us as an association. So that's kind of what brings us here. We've worked very closely with the staff at the arena, and I know they try very, very hard to get us extra ice, and we do sort of get extra ice piecemeal here or there. A team will cancel their ice time because they're out of town at a tournament, and they'll say, you can have Saturday night at this time. And it's great, we use it as best we can. But at this point, we actually can't get our kids on the ice for an hour a week, everybody who's registered. And for this year, we actually have a waiting list because we've had to close down our registrations. We have a waiting list of kids who want to play, but we can't physically get them on the ice. So we kind of have a couple of asks of you guys and of the staff at the arena. We would like an equitable share of the ice. Our sport is predominantly female. It is a co-ed sport, just like hockey is now co-ed, ringette is now co-ed, and it's probably inverse proportional to the females in hockey. We have about 13% of our players are boys, and the rest are girls. So we want to just make sure it's equitable. So we've kind of made our asks into two short asks. Well, one is short term, and we would ask for this season if we can find a way to get at least an hour or an hour and 15 minutes more a week. And that would ensure that every player in our association can get on the ice for 1 hour a week. That's what we would like in the short term. And then it would also allow some of the teams every couple of weeks to get a second hour. We just want to make it equitable from our little guys up to our high school kids. And keeping girls involved in sport in the teen years is really, really hard. So we want to do everything we can to try and hold on to them. Our long-term ask is that ice allocation seems to be, I don't know, I use the word feudal. And a team will have a set time, and as long as they've had that ice time for 2 years, they sort of own it. That's their time slot. But as has been the case for a couple of years, minor hockey realizes they don't need this hour, or they give up that hour, that maybe we could ask that the ice allocation reviews the number of registrations. Our registrations have gone up every year. I'm not involved in minor hockey, but I have a source, and their numbers have gone down. They haven't gone down significantly, but they've been reducing slightly every year. So maybe they don't need as much ice, and we need a little more. So our ask is to review the policy on how ice is allocated. We've never been asked to show how many kids do you have registered. I would happily give that to the arena. And minor hockey, some individuals are very helpful to us, some not so much. So we just really, really want to grow our association, and we would like an equitable, proportional share of the ice for the girls and the boys who play ringette. So that's our short-term ask and our long-term ask. We do have a little video clip. Hopefully it'll play. It's like 30 seconds. We're super excited about our promotional movie that we made.
Awesome.
It took us hours. This is filmed at a come try event. So just kids who don't even play. We say, come for free for an hour and play with us. And now I'd like to quickly pass it off to Erin, who's going to speak about our master's group.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erin Arthur. I've been playing ringette for 35 years. I won't tell you how, I started off wrong. Anyways, I was going to say I started playing when I was 5, and I won't tell you how long that's been, but I last year had the opportunity to realize a dream and go to the World Ringette Championships and play there. I'm a coach, I'm on the board of directors, and I'm on the masters team. So part of our ask is obviously our priority is youth, but also the masters play from 10 to 11 p.m. on a Monday night. Just like the youth, we've always asked for extra ice. But what's significant about the masters team is that over half of our coaches for the youth team come from masters. Many of our board members come from the masters team. And it's also a place for our U16 players to move up to because we don't have anything in between. So the youth teams are a growing, beautiful tree, and the masters are the root system that supports them. So without our masters team, and we are declining in numbers because of our 10 to 11 p.m. ice time, it's only women on our team. A lot of them work full time. Lots of them have kids. So if we lose that masters team, we lose a huge support system for the youth association. So that's the other part of our ask, but it's not a priority like the youth team. But we do ask that, again, you consider the whole system and make it equitable. Thank you so much. Did you have any questions for us?
Yeah, we've got a couple of directors interested already. Thanks to your passion for the sport really showed in the presentation. Director Grant, go ahead. Oh.
We got a new system at Comox and it's completely opposite to this, so bear with me. So what would you guys think the prime times would be? Because I've been through the ice allocation thing probably 4 times now. I think I've been there with Jennifer on several of them. It's a real can of worms because I have a 10 o'clock ice slot out at the base, which is too late. We have a hard time getting people to go to it. There is no way to move forward. We've been there for 20 years and we've never moved down.
We understand.
So that's a frustration.
Mhm.
The problem is if we do move down, then we displace somebody else. So it's a
understand.
double-edged sword no matter how you do it.
Mhm.
So my question is, are you thinking of maybe daytime or after school or something that doesn't, it seems to be the evening ice that's a problem, because we also have an ice slot out at the rink at rink 1 at 9:15, and we've had this discussion several times. If we move it down, then half the guys can't go because they have
Yeah.
kids, and if we move it up, then it's
Yeah.
too late. So
I understand.
it's the conundrum no matter how you
Yes.
do it, right?
Absolutely. It's our understanding that the mandate of the regional district is youth ice. There is ice at Sports Center 2, I want to say it's Sunday afternoon, where there are adults on the ice at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And we're going to have a U12 team on the ice. That the minor hockey team has sublet us for this season. That they offered it to us on Tuesday, September 8th. So just last week, we learned that we had an extra ice, even though we've been trying to plan our association and registrations. So we're very thankful that we got that ice, but we're going to have little kids on the ice at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. Yet there's adults on the ice at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So if we could swap that, that would be great. And I get it. One of the things about Ringette but let me backtrack. With hockey, there's many different hockey teams, right? And if you can't play at 7 o'clock at night because your job has changed or whatever, there's plenty of other hockey teams to go and join. Maybe Tuesday works, but and you can go and join another team that has ice time on a Tuesday. With us, if you can't make 10 o'clock on a Monday night for our master's team, or I know people who aren't signing up for Ringette because their kids' dance classes at that time on a Tuesday, and we only have one time, so the kid has to choose between their activities. And if you can't make 10 o'clock as a master, or you don't want to, or you're not able to, then you just don't play. We actually went through the numbers. We could probably make 2 full masters teams if we could get everybody out, but many of them are just like, I'm too old for well, it's usually 10 o'clock Monday night's not the problem. It's 7 o'clock Tuesday morning when you're trying to get to work. That's the problem.
We've got another question from Dr. Frisch.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it right
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And less of a question, just more of a comment. I just want to thank you guys for coming in. This discussion is actually really new to me, so I don't really know a lot about it. But I think what we need here is maybe a report from staff outlining what our current policy is, so that we can review it and see what maybe needs to change or what maybe doesn't need to change. But I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
I certainly don't envy the people who have to do all the scheduling, because there's a finite amount of ice and finite number of hours in the day, and lots of people who want to use it. It's certainly not an easy job.
Yeah, a lot of questions to consider. So thank you.
Thank you. We have a few more questions. Dr. Cole Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. And I'm fortunate to say that I've been to many Ringette games. My niece Ashley played actually for Team BC, and I've seen her play many. It's a remarkably skilled game, and I know from her experience, she's just finishing high school, starting university, that she played a lot in high school, and then basically Ringette just disappears. There are no university teams, and there are very little ice time available for women's masters teams. So I've seen her saddened by that reality. So I would I get that there are a lot of complications with scheduling ice time. It sounds like a real headache putting it together, but starting with the numbers of people who want to play seems like a common sense and equitable way to start. So I'd support the recommendation that we have a staff report and just review this and make sure that sounds like Ring Out is getting largely like table scraps in what's left over, and that's just not right. So hopefully we can take a fresh look at it and come up with something which is more fair. So thank you for spending your time to talk to us.
Thank you for your comments. Oh,
Thank you.
Erin has something
Yeah,
to say.
thank you. Also, I think it is important, not just for Ringette, but for other user groups that might come up. Let's say a sledge hockey team wants to start, or anyone who's coming to the table where there is such limited ice. It's not just for Ringette. We'd love this to apply to everyone who wants to come in and have an opportunity to play an ice sport.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Cole-Hamilton. We have 2 or 3 more questions. Dr. Hamir.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to sort of state outset my bias. Both my daughters played Ringette, and I know from experience with the coaches and the teams how amazingly accessible the sport is. I think you go above and beyond to share equipment so that the cost of entering the sport is as low as possible. And I really loved the fact as a parent that it was no contact, far less worry about, head injuries and all of the other things that happen with a high contact sport. So I will also, support a recommendation of a staff report coming back to us for a more equitable allocation of the ice. And I love the idea of checking what registration is, and if there are any other parameters that you can kind of see that would help our staff, either it be the numbers or the age, as you've mentioned. I think that will go a long way into helping us figure out how to more equitably figure this out. My one question is around the different ice, the different ice surfaces. We also have the ice surface at the base. Now, is that my understanding? That's managed by the base, and that's not within our purview. How much access do you have to that site, and what are there any issues around using the base site?
The only way you can get ice at the base as a community user is with a letter from the regional district saying we don't have ice for them here, so we're going to send them to the base. We ask for ice at the base every year, and they don't have any ice to give us. That's what they tell us. Our master skates at 10 o'clock on a Monday night up at the base.
Okay.
That's where our home arena is.
Yeah.
The kids are in Sports Center 1. Yeah.
And yes, just want to really commend the masters. Not only have you done so much to foster, being one of the only regions on Vancouver Island that has Ringette, what you've done to foster amongst the youth, but just the high level, like the caliber of this masters team is just amazing. We are so lucky to have you here. So again, thank you for your presentation and all you've done for the sport here.
Thank you.
Director Grieve.
I'll be brief. Thank you very much for coming. We had a delegation from women's hockey a couple of years back, and I understand the challenges you guys face. But this raises the specter of another ice sheet, which has been kicked around from time to time. I know we've got hockey twice on this agenda. So, when you have figure skaters, ringette, public skating, hockey, you mentioned sledge hockey, then maybe what we need to do is to look down the road a little further and have staff do a long-term evaluation so we can start saving up reserves for the eventuality of another ice sheet, because it looks to me like it's definitely in demand and it's not getting better. So I think that I'll support anybody who wants to bring a motion forward to really delve into this a little more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Grieve. Director Maury.
Great, thank you, Chair. Thanks so much for the presentation. I've been hearing for quite a while about the problems with the ice allocation from other user groups as well. And when the time is right, I do have something drafted up that would basically reflect some of the discussion today. I just wanted to sort of get a sense of the room. And I like Director Greaves' idea about a long-term look at this as well. But I think at least in the interim that we can look at the process for allocation and see if we can work to make it more equitable. So I'm assuming you probably want to deal with receipt first, but I do have something ready.
Yeah, if you have
at
a
that
request for action or motion after, that would be well.
Okay,
I think
thanks.
a few members mentioned it. Was there further comments from the association or?
No.
Thank you so much. The video was great. It was worth the effort. It was very good.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your passion for the sport.
And thank you for your time.
So on receipt, other presentation, we didn't have a mover and seconder at the start. Mover, Dr. Greaves, second. Dr. Cole Hamilton, all those in favor? Thank you. And Dr. Morin, you have something in writing you'd like to propose to the board?
I'd like to move that staff prepare a report that examines the ice time allocation process and presents options for a more equitable process, including increasing time for groups growing in participation. And I have it written down.
We have a seconder, so that sounded good. We can pass that to Jake. Anybody would like to speak to the motion? Director Grieve.
I would once again encourage the mover to add a long-term view as well.
Is that a friendly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Jake. We'll integrate the long-term view into the motion. Any other speakers on the motion? Okay, all in favor? Thank you, that passes. So thanks again for coming. It is a problem we have across all of our facilities, not just the arena. Demand is growing in the Comox Valley. Thank you so much for coming to present today. Great. So that was our only delegation today. We will now move to the management report for receipt. There are 2 items. Anybody wants to speak or ask questions about the management report? Ice resurfacer, anybody? Any takers? 1, 2, 3, all in favor of receipt? Thank you. Next on the agenda is a staff report on the COVID-19 response and renewal for receipt. Thank you. Over to your staff.
Thank you very much, Chair and Commissioners. And Jennifer Zabidin, Senior Manager of Recreation Facilities, is here to present this report and answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Russell. Through the chair, staff are happy here today to provide a bit of an update on the recreation services, the response and renewal plan. So looking at Jake. Oh. Yeah. Trying to go backwards, Jake. Oh. Great, thank you. Well, it's September and we're already 6 months into the COVID-19 pandemic. It's unbelievable how quick the time has gone, and it's, there's still tough times ahead of us, but we're here today to hopefully provide some good news. So staff will continue right now with formulating and adjusting plans in accordance with the BC Recreation Parks Association, Sport BC, via Sport, WorkSafe, LifeSafe Society, BC Municipal Safety Association, all those governing agencies that sort of provide instruction, direction and leadership for us to move forwards. We also continue with our detailed framework, considering communication plans, the patron safety and staff training and safety plans, capacity limits, and the provincial health officer requirements. And we continue to update and review as we go through each stage or phase. And we also continue to work with community partners and provincial sports organizations to support the staged approach. There we go. Next up, of course, we continue to follow the COVID-19 response and renewal framework for the CDRD services, and they're supported with maintaining core services at an affordable cost. So careful management of recreation services and assets essential to providing affordable and reliable services to the citizens in the CVRD. Adapting to changing community priorities, assessing recreation services for updates and improvements. And here the Ringette presentation is a great example that will fit right into that piece of discussion. Realigning resources to support community renewal initiatives and supporting community partners. Next up, we'll be doing a Glacier Kings presentation as an example that would fit into there. And communicating clearly about actions and informing the community via social media, online, web, and media, and connecting with our stakeholders. The work that we have been doing. Jake, I'm pointing at you. You might not be broad enough. Thank you. So the work that the staff are currently been working on primarily supports strategic goals 1, 2, 3, and 4. Strategic goal number 1, asset management. We've continued with our maintenance upgrades during the shutdown. We've had a little bit of a longer shutdown than usual, so we've been able to get a lot more work done, both at the Sports Center pool, the Aquatic Center pool, and for Arena 1 and 2. Some things that have been done is the condenser's been replaced for Arena 2. We've had a security system put in place and an upgraded phone system, which will certainly help with customer service and with safety. One of the other things that we're doing right now for anybody that has been in the Sports Center recently, we are doing a renovation on our concession, which part of the concession was built in 1974 and part of the concession was built in 1998. So we're looking to have it as a multi-use with the potential of a contractor in there, and also the possibility of us providing some programming, chefs on the run, nutritional and healthy initiatives, and health initiative programming. We're currently in the process of preparing the RFP for the electrical ice resurfer. I was hoping somebody would bite on that in the management report. So I did want to provide, there was a conversation at the last presentation about can you close in and hone in a little bit better on the cost of the electrical ice resurfacer. We now have a much better idea. We're coming in at about 190,000 versus the range that I believe we provided to the Sports Commission in July was between 200 and 240,000. So we've been able to to squish that cost in a little bit better. We also have, we're looking to do some upgrades to the mezzanine above Arena 2. And again, that will provide for being able to do more programming, unique programming, and things that you can't do in a body of water that you may not be able to utilize at this time. We also have the Sports Center pool basin study that's going on. We want to make sure that the pool that was built in 1974 and opened in 75 and has had some renovations throughout the years is still ticking good and strong and safe and all those things. And we anticipate staff bringing a staff report forth for that in October. And we also have an exhibition grounds land design study currently going on. And again, we hope to be bringing a staff report forward in October. Under strategic goal 2, partnerships between jurisdictions and external stakeholders. So again, building on relationships to work with our user groups for safe opening of our facilities. So we have roughly 260 users between the Sports Center, the Aquatic Center, and the exhibition grounds. Staff are working with them on a daily basis to ensure that they provide a solid COVID safety plan to return back to their sport or their activity or their use, and to ensure that that fits in with our regional district safety plan and our specific safety plans for the various areas. And again, we continue to work with stakeholders such as BCRPA and the province and the regional medical officer for guidance in our reactivation stages. And again, to increase public awareness of programs on health and wellness and active living. We have 3 partnerships that we're currently working towards. One is with the Glacier Kings, again, the dressing room, which will come around shortly. The soccer field house, which you'll hear a little bit more about shortly. And Lush is another group that we work with, Lush Valley, to provide them with space and an opportunity to do their program. Under strategic goal 3, we have the connectivity. So walking connectivities, mapping, and signage and visitor centers. So currently the Active Comox Alley is working with various groups, including those that can do walking tours and walking specialists and groups that do hiking and that know the area really well. And we're looking to produce some mapping information to provide opportunities for the community. And then strategic goal 4, accessibility again, the regional low-income pass, mezzanine grant, program analysis, and an outbreak on a communication program. Trying to speed this up for you. And we are now in our second stage of an opening, which is the Sports Center pool open September 8th, as well as the second sheet of ice. We are offering some limited aquasize rehab and wellness classes and swim links. We are receiving a lot of disgruntled messages and requests to start looking towards opening the aquatic center. We have 33 of 73 staff back. And again, we continue to work with the provincial health officer recommendations to move things forward. So on that note, thank you and questions.
Thank you. And we just for your awareness, we will run a bit short on time. Dr. Amir?
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Jennifer, for the report. Just curious about a couple of the projects. The concession that you're talking about, I'm loving the sound of the upgrades. And are you thinking that the programming that might happen in there, is that something the RD would do, or would we contract that out to another party? What are you picturing?
Through the chair, we anticipate a bit of a partnership. So having a contractor in that can service hockey games, figure skating events, swim meets, and those kinds of things. And then staff in there providing our healthy initiative programs. And so a small example, Chefs on the Run, but there's so much more we could do.
Yeah, great. And regarding the low-income pass, I know it's been stalled because of COVID, and there are multiple levels of government that have to kind of come on side. Do you have an idea, like timeline for that? And is there anything holding up that we can kind of help nudge?
So great news. The actual application process has been worked out between the various organizations. So CBRD and Comox, CBRD and Courtney, CBRD and Cumberland. And we anticipate that moving forwards in October. The next piece of the puzzle, trying to figure out how the offerings of the low-income pass, that's the difficult piece where we have different offerings for different municipalities. We provide 52 free swims. Another municipality might not provide 52 drop-ins. So that's the next phase. And we staff are going to be looking to have a request to meet with the directors and do some kind of a workshop and walk through what it means to carry this forward.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to that.
Thank you very much. There being no further questions on receipt, everybody in favor? Thank you very much, Jennifer. We have 2 or 3 more items. We'll try to get through them. So the next one we've already seen last month or a couple of months ago, the Glacier Kings, an update on the dressing room and opportunities associated with it for receipt. Second, yeah, thank you. Over to you, Jennifer. Again.
Through the chair, staff will try to zing through this one. So this presentation is to provide the Comox Valley Sports Commission with an update regarding Glacier Kings Junior B Hockey dressing room in response to the presentation that was had on July 14th of this year. So in previous years, we've always talked about Glacier Kings build out back. And the Glacier Kings will come forth and say, can you financially help us? How can we move this forwards? And we just kept hitting stumbling blocks. Staff have met with the Glacier Kings, the GM and the ownership through July and August since the last meeting, and we've come to find that we actually have some space within the facility. It's underutilized. It's part of the ladies' washroom in Arena 1 and a coach's room, and when you put those two together, there's a beautiful size and space in there to provide a home to the Glacier Kings, which really are our Junior B team. And that's how we should be looking at it, is they're our team. So having said that, what the commitment would be is that we would provide terms and conditions that would need to be outlined in a detailed agreement prior to the Glacier Kings moving into the dressing room. The Glacier Kings will contribute approximately $20,000 towards the creation of the dressing room, and the CBRD will contribute the 2018 commitment of $25,000. The CBRD contribution will be towards building services and infrastructure, and the Glacier Kings will be responsible for the furnishings. And what that means for us is further revenue will be recognized by the CBRD with the ability to rent out the current dressing room that the Glacier Kings are in right now. And within the agreement, the opportunity for staff to potentially use the Glacier Kings dressing room in the off season when they're not in there for programming and opportunities. And again, this project, as we move forward with it, would ensure an alignment of the CBRD core values, sports strategic plan, and sports commission strategic goals of partnerships. So staff are feeling positive. Glacier Kings are smiling. So we have an engineer coming to look at the space on this drawing here. And if all goes well, we would like to move forward. And that brings us to the options, which are the board support creating a new dressing room within the existing footprint of the sports center in partnership with the Glacier Kings Junior B Hockey Club for their primary use during the season, with the CBRD providing a contribution of $25,000. Or the board does not support a new dressing room with the existing footprint and support the development of the Glacier Kings dressing room portable structure added out back with a contribution of $25,000 from the CBRD. Staff are recommending option 1 and recommending it even more so if we want to start looking at long-term for another sheet of ice that would fall on that property. Thank you. I'd throw that in there.
Thank you very much. Just a quick point of clarification, at 25,000, when you referred to it in the past, it was pre-allocated, pre-approved by this board?
Correct.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions in regard to this novel news? Director Frisch.
Yeah, well, this sounds really interesting because I have definitely heard in the community that there is also a need for more dressing room for kids hockey. And so marrying these two together seems like a good solution. So thanks for finding this, and I'm happy to support your recommendation.
Thank you.
Let's go on receipt and then we'll look at the recommendation. They're in favor of receipt, everybody? Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion on the recommendation? There being none, all in favor? Thank you, and thanks to staff and Glacier King for coming up with this creative and smart approach. Next on the agenda is a report on the mezzanine area.
And Chair and Commissioners, I'd like to introduce Susan Bullock, who's the Manager of Recreational Services, and she will present this report to you and consider the recommendation and answer your questions.
Through the chair, thank you for allowing me to present today. The purpose of the report is to inform the Commission about a possible grant opportunity through the Investing in Canadian Infrastructure program and to obtain support for the retrofit of the Comox Valley Sports Centre mezzanine. So the Investing in Canada Infrastructure program is currently accepting grant applications up until October 1st. The projects must offer improved access and or increased quality of cultural, recreational, and community infrastructure for Canadians. Successful applicants can receive up to 73.33% funding from the Canadian government and from the BC government. The retrofit of the Comox Valley Sports Centre Mez would be eligible under this grant program and has been identified as a priority for recreation. This project achieves the Sports Commission goal number 1 of asset management by utilizing existing space for higher function, and strategic goal number 4, accessibility by improving usable space for all citizens. Furthermore, in 2017, there was an indoor recreation facility master plan, and it indicated the mez needed improvement, noting it was too large and too empty. I'm not sure if you've been there, but it's basically a really large concrete box with almost no HVAC and yeah, not a lot else. The upgrades would include the addition of a handicap washroom, which would be very beneficial for programming space. So when we had summer camps all summer, we're sending the kids downstairs with a partner to go and use the washroom. So for programs like for children's programs, it would be very beneficial. It would also include HVAC for the common areas, as well as the existing office space that has very limited heating and air conditioning at the moment. Sports flooring that would be appropriate for boot camps and fitness classes. LED lights, sprinkler upgrade, the acoustic drop ceiling I'm not sure if you've ever been there for a meeting, but the sound quality is awful for even just 4 adults to have a conversation, never mind a day camp of 40 kids. It would also include wiring and sound with a projector and screen, so it'd be appropriate for meetings for community groups, the staff training. And it has a potential for a wall divider, so we can have one large space for programs, divide the space up for maybe either 2 smaller programs or for meetings. And include built-in storage, because there's never a rec center with enough storage. The grant would cover 73% of these expenses, as well as possible architectural or other professional fees. And the current estimate of the project would be around $446,000. So the CBRD's portion of that would be approximately $120,000. So the benefits of the upgrade is obviously greater comfort and service to the existing users, meeting space for community groups and user groups, minor hockey, ringette, other groups that want to use the space for meetings. We were actually very tight on meeting and storage and program space before COVID. And then with COVID, it makes it a lot more challenging as well. Part of our meeting room got taken over to expand our weight room. And then also the aquatic center being closed, the classroom we had up there, we no longer have access to. And we have been using the lobby area, outside in a tent, arena change rooms. We've been using those spaces for public programs for years. So we'll run a day camp, and if you're not on the ice, you're in the change room or you're outside because there's nowhere else to put them. So the additional programming space would obviously be used for day camps, after school programs, sports programs, fitness, boot camps, our first aid classes. We currently are usually on the pool deck to teach non-aquatic spaced even first aid courses like occupational level 1, just because we have nowhere else to put them. So the quality of the program suffers when you don't have access to things like PowerPoint or a wall, or it's very warm. It would also be a great space for staff training, which we do a lot of in the aquatics and in the skate shop. And it's also in terms of space for outdoor programs. So at that area with COVID and other things, we see expanding, but there is those rainy days where we need a place to put the kids or the adults that are in fitness classes. Also with the closure, we're anticipating a greater demand because with the school gyms being closed, the after school programs that used to happen there and the adult programs in the evening, those gyms are no longer available. So I believe it was in high demand before, and this space would be even more demand now. And of course, the mezzanine does not currently provide adequate washrooms, heating, acoustics, or flooring to accommodate any of these activities. So staff would like to recommend this project for consideration and receive commission support for it to be a priority. Any questions?
Yeah, we got to 1, 2, 3, 4. One question, Dr. Amir.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks for the presentation. I'm just wondering what the timeline is for this. What's the deadline, and then how soon, if we hear about approval, how soon do you see the construction happening?
If we were approved, the grant deadline to apply is October. The project must commence by 2021 and be completed by 2026. We would anticipate it being a much shorter timeline. In talking to the operations manager, we are hoping it would be completed in 2021.
Great. Okay. So then just for the funding for the project, then that would be part of our 2021 budget, or do we need to allocate it now? If so, what budget stream could that come out of?
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's being taken out of reserves, was the plan?
Through the chair. So this will go into the budget cycle of 2021 to 25, and it would be a capital reserves item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Murray.
Great, thank you, Chair. Well, I've been in that space a few times with some very rowdy teenagers. I think I had 90 there at one point. So I've always thought that space could be really well utilized with some upgrades. So I think this is a great idea to apply for this funding. And also Vanier being right next door, I know that they're, I mean, with the renovations they've done, they may have a tiny bit more space. And of course, Michelle Wade could, as school district rep, could probably speak to that a bit better than me. But so I see lots of opportunities. I just, one thing I wanted to note, and this is with all due respect, I'm just wondering about the wording handicap. I don't know if we use that kind of term anymore, like maybe using accessible. I'm just thinking for the grant proposal, it might be better to change that terminology. Just a note I had, but I think it looks great. And one thing I had a question about was there isn't an elevator or anything. Like how do there is? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I couldn't remember. It's been a
Yes,
while.
it's already in place.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roy. Director Grant?
I was just wondering, do we lease that space out if someone wanted to come and use it, or how does that work? And in the future, would that be something that would be possible? I know there's lots of groups out now that are Zoom meeting and they'd love to be able to have a big enough space where they could do something a little bit better. So I'm wondering if we do that and if there's a payback that we can get on this.
Definitely. We currently do rent out the space for meetings and such, but not really for programming space. There has been private hockey training dry land sessions up there, but the floor is not ideal because it's concrete, but we've definitely rented on a regular basis.
Thank you for the question, Dr. Grant. There being no further question, all in favor of receipt? Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the recommendation? There being none, all in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you. The last item is a quick update. I think most of you, except Trustee Waite, saw that at the board, and I understand you would like to recuse yourself from this particular item. Thank you. So just an update from staff on the soccer club. Over to you, Jen.
Through the chair. So regarding the Comox Valley Soccer Field House, that went forth in August, the board meeting, with the following recommendations: that the Comox Valley Regional District provide $115,000 of funding through the Recreation Grant Service to the Comox Valley United Soccer Club, subject to a user agreement, which is very similar that we do with any group that leases or rents. And further, the report dated be referred back here to the Sports Commission. The organization, the Comox Valley United Soccer Association, is their primary goal is to promote the enjoyment and participation in the sport of soccer. They provided a request for $150,000 in funding support. The CVRD allocates recreation grant funds to local governments and nonprofit organizations in the Comox Valley. This grant program was currently underprescribed due to the changes in the COVID-19 by approximately $115,000. And of course, when we do projects like this, we want to ensure that they align with the CVRD core values and board strategic plans and Sports Commission. And so this one here falls really into the Sports Commission's strategic goal of partnerships. And so here we are today, just to bring it back to the Sports Commission for any further questions.
Thank you very much. And probably the commission would like to thank the board for their support. Any questions? Director Hellion.
Thank you, Chair. And I'd just like to acknowledge all the strong work by our Senior Manager of Recreation Services and perhaps reassure her if there's ever a management report where we don't ask the appropriate questions that staff should feel free to jump up and bring matters to our attention because there's a lot to celebrate in the things that are being reported today. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Dr. Hellion. I don't see any further questions or comments for this report. All in favor? Thank you. And that brings us to the bottom of the agenda. So a motion to terminate. All in favor? Thank you, everybody.